Hello there, my name is Payal Narayani and welcome to this video series. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया की 3rd एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. इस किताब को हम थ्रूली रीड करेंगे और जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ेगी वहाँ हम साथ ही साथ UPSC एंड स्टेट सर्विसेज में आए हुए प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस भी डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड इस सीरीज़ में वीडियोस लगभग 30 to 35 मिनट्स के होंगे, बड़े इफेक्टिव होंगे और हम ऑलमोस्ट 40 to 45 लेक्चर्स में ये पूरी किताब कवर करेंगे. और अगर आपने ये सीरीज़ 3 to 4 टाइम्स देख ली तो बिल्कुल ये किताब आपके दिमाग में छप जाएगी एंड ट्रस्ट मी, आपकी एक्यूरेसी भी काफ़ी इंक्रीज़ हो जाएगी. साथ ही साथ आपका रिवीजन भी काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा. सो अगर आपको रिवीजन के साथ साथ वैल्यू एडिशन भी करना है तो ये सीरीज़ पूरी फॉलो करें. आपको बस आपके पास ये किताब रखकर मुझे सुनना है एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मार्क करने हैं. So without any further delay, let's get started. Hello there, welcome back to the channel Ghatna Sutra. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया 3rd एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. और हम आज शुरू कर रहे हैं द दिल्ली सल्तनत 1206 to 1526 CE. So let's get started. As we have discussed in the last chapter, the invasion of Muhammad of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori into India ultimately resulted in the establishment of Delhi Sultanate. 5 different dynasties, the Slave, the Khiljis, the Tughlaq, the Sayyidis and the Lodhis are collectively referred to as Delhi Sultanate. The ruler termed as Sultan were of Turkish and Afghan origin. Not only did they extend their rule over North India, Malwa and Gujarat, but they also penetrated into the Deccan and South India. The Sultanate rule resulted in the far-reaching changes into the Indian society, administration and cultural life. दिल्ली सल्तनत पीरियड. सो आप ये पीरियड भी याद रखिएगा क्योंकि एट टाइम्स एग्जाम में दे आस्क द विच एग्जिस्टेड द फर्स्ट, है ना, लाइक हु एग्जिस्टेड फर्स्ट आउट ऑफ देम. ठीक है. सो फर्स्ट वॉज स्लेव डायनेस्टी फ्रॉम 1206 to 1290. टाइम लाइन याद रखिएगा स्पेसिफिकली. एंड देन वी हैव खिलजीज 1290 to 1320 CE. देन वी हैव तुगलक्स 1320 to 1413 CE. Then we had Sayyidis 1414 to 1451 CE and the last were the Lodhis 1451 to 1526 CE. ठीक है. सो दिल्ली सल्तनत का टाइम पीरियड भी याद रखिएगा एंड हु एग्जिस्टेड, मतलब उनका क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर भी याद रखिएगा. ठीक है. नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट. द स्लेव डायनेस्टी और इल्ब्री द मेमलुक सुल्तान्स 1206 to 1290 CE. The slave dynasty was also called the Mamluk dynasty or Mamluk, which was the Arabic word meaning owned, used to distinguish the important Turkish slave chiefly meant for military service from the lower slaves who were used as domestic laborers or artisans. In fact, 3 dynasties were established during this period. Qutubi dynasty from 1206 to 1213 CE, founded by Qutubuddin Aibak. अच्छा, वेन एवर वी रीड अबाउट डायनेस्टीज़, ठीक है, आपको उन डायनेस्टीज़ के फाउंडर्स भी याद रखने हैं एंड टाइम लाइन भी याद रखिएगा. ठीक है. सेकेंड, द फर्स्ट इल्ब्री डायनेस्टी फाउंड 1211 to 1266 CE, फाउंडेड बाय इल्तुतमिश. Second Ilbri dynasty, that is from 1266 to 1290 CE, founded by Balban. नाउ बिफोर वी स्टार्ट विद दिस कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक, ठीक है, आप इस टॉपिक को डबल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए क्योंकि ये UPPCS में 1990 में इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था, साथ ही BPSC में 2011 में एंड 2005 में एंड उत्तराखंड के एग्ज़ाम में 2010 में इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था. सो हाईलाइट दिस टॉपिक, ठीक है, एंड मार्क दिस इम्पॉर्टेंट इन योर बुक्स टू. कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक 1206 to 1210 CE, the founder of the slave dynasty, considered by many scholars as the real founder of the Muslim rule in India. He was a Turkish slave of Muhammad Ghori, who played an important role in the expansion of Turkish Sultanate in India after the Battle of Tarian, and was made the governor of Ghori's India's position. He raised a standing army and established his hold over northern India even during the lifetime of Ghori. After the death of Ghori in 1206 CE, Tajuddin Yildiz, the ruler of Ghazni, claimed his rule over Delhi, and Nasruddin Qabacha, the governor of Multan and Uch, aspired for independence. Along with all these, he also had to face many revolts from Rajputs and the other Indian chiefs. The successor of Jayachand, Harishchandra, had driven out the Turks from Badayun and Farrukhabad. However, Aibak was able to win over his enemies by conciliatory measures as well as a display of power. He defeated Yaldos and served all connections with Ghazni. Aibak also reconquered both Badayun and Farrukhabad and thus founded the slave dynasty as well as the Delhi Sultanate. He assumed the title of Sultan and made Lahore his capital. He did not issue any coins and was formally recognized after 3 years, known as Lakh Baksh or giver of lakhs for his magnanimity, as he gave a lot of liberal donation. Built the first mosque in India, Kuwait ul Islam Mosque, Delhi. अब whenever we read about these Sultanate or any of the Muslim rulers, है ना, जैसे हम आगे पढ़ेंगे, so you need to remember and highlight the important work done by them. ठीक है. So first mosque India में किसने build किया था? It was built by Qutbuddin Aibak and the name of that mosque was Kuwait ul Islam, जो कहाँ है? दिल्ली में. He also built Arai Din का झोपड़ा, Ajmer. Highlight the work done by Qutbuddin Aibak. Patronized great scholar Hassan Nizami, Taj ul Masir, and Fakhruddin Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi. Started construction of Qutub Minar. Achha, highlight this. Who started the construction of Qutub Minar? It was Qutbuddin Aibak. ठीक है? Only the first story though. In the memory of the famous Sufi saint Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. It was later completed by Iltutmish. Aibak died suddenly in 1210 CE while playing Chaugan, horse polo. Aram Shah, 1210 CE, son of Qutbuddin Aibak, who succeeded his father but was an incapable ruler and a weak and a worthless young man. The Turkish army opposed him. He ruled for a mere 8 months. The Turkish chief of Delhi invited the governor of Badayun, Iltutmish, son-in-law of Qutbuddin Aibak, to come to Delhi. Iltutmish disposed of Aram Shah and became the Sultan with the name of Shamsuddin. The credit of consolidating the Delhi power lies largely with him, Iltutmish. And before we start with Iltutmish, आप इस टॉपिक को ट्रिपल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए क्योंकि इस एग्जामिनेशन स्टेट सर्विसेज की एंड इवन यूपीएससी के एग्जामिनेशन में इसके ऊपर सवाल पूछा गया था. दैट वाज इन 2001 एंड 2021. बीपीएससी में 2022 एंड 2008 में सवाल आया था. वेराज इवन छत्तीसगढ़ पीसीएस में भी इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था. दैट वाज इन 2013. ठीक है. एंड यूपी पीसीएस में मल्टीपल ईयर्स में आया था. साथ ही यूपी आरओ एआरओ की एग्जाम में भी आया था. सो दिस इज़ एन हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट रूलर ऑफ दिल्ली सुल्तानेट. ठीक है. सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड. Iltutmish, 1210 to 1236 CE, the real consolidator of Turkish rule in India. He belonged to the Ilbari tribe and hence his dynasty also known as Ilbari dynasty. Legends describe that his half-brother sold him as a slave to Aibak, who made him his son-in-law by giving his daughter in marriage to him. Later, Aibak appointed him as the Iqtadar of Gwalior. After becoming Sultan, he shifted his capital from Lahore to Delhi. During the first 10 years of his reign, he concentrated on securing his throne from his rivals. The commander of Muhammad Ghori of Yaldos, Kubacha of Multan and Ali Mardan of Bihar and Bengal rose in defiance again. The chief of Jalore and Ranthambore joined Gwalior and Kalinjar in declaring their independence. Apart from this, the rising power of the Mongols under Chengiz Khan threatened the northwest frontier of the Sultanate. Iltutmish took up the task of consolidating his position. He defeated Yaldos in 1215 CE in the Battle of Tarian. In 1217 CE, he drove away Kubacha from Punjab. In 1220, Temuji, popularly known as Chengiz Khan, the leader of the Mongols, started invading Central Asia and destroyed the Khwarizm Empire. Jalaluddin Mangbarani, the son of the Shah of Khwarizm, while escaping from Mongols, sought shelter at Iltutmish court, but Iltutmish refused to grant asylum to him. So, with his diplomatic skills, he prevented Mongol attack and saved India from the wrath of Chengiz Khan. From 1225 CE onwards, Iltutmish engaged his army in suppressing the disturbance in the east. In 1226 CE to 1227 CE, Iltutmish sent a large army under his son Nasruddin Muhammad, which defeated Iwaz Khan and brought Bengal and Bihar back into Delhi Sultanate. Similarly, a campaign was also launched against the Rajput chief. Ranthambore was captured in 1226 CE, and by 1231 CE, Iltutmish has established his authority over Mandor, Jalore, Bayana and Gwalior. He also attacked Nagda, the capital of Mewar, but had to retreat at the arrival of Gujarat armies. As a revenge, he led an expedition against the Chalukyans of Gujarat, but it was not successful. He divided his empire into iktas, assignment of land in lieu of salary. Highlight the term ikta, ठीक है? Wherever you see the key terms or the terminologies, ठीक है, आप उसे highlight करिए और साथ ही उसका meaning भी जानिए, ठीक है? So, what was ikta? It was assignment of land in lieu of salaries. Every iktadar had to maintain law and order and collect revenue. After deducting own salaries and expenses, they had to send the surplus to the central government. As a matter of fact, iktadars were transferable. Organized Tarkan-e Chalgani, a new class of ruling elite of 40 powerful military leaders, the 40. These were Turkish armies nobles who advised and helped the Sultan in administering the Sultanate. After the death of Iltutmish, this group assumed a great power in its hand. For a few years, they decided on the selection of Sultan one after the other. The group was finally eliminated by Balban. So, who introduced Chalgani system? It was the ruler, Iltutmish, ठीक है, and who eliminated it? Balban. His authority was recognized by Abbasid Caliphate of Baghdad in 1229 CE as he received the Mansour, the letter of recognition by which he became the legal sovereign ruler of India. Issued purely Arabic coinage of silver tanka, first to do so, weighted around 175 grams, which remained the base of the modern rupee, and copper jeetal. Father of tomb building. Sultangiri in Delhi completed the construction of Qutub Minar at Delhi, the tallest stone towers in India. So Iltutmish is also known as the father of tomb building. Patronize Minas-us-Siraj, contemporary historian who wrote Takht-e-Nasuri, is written by Minas-us-Siraj. So highlight the name and the work done by the scholar. Since he did not consider any of his sons worthy of the throne, he declared his daughter Razia as a successor. Deviating from the normal practice, the nomination of a woman in preference to son was a novel step. Rukunuddin Firzu Shah, 1236 CE, eldest son of Iltutmish, who was put on the throne by nobles, took ride on elephant in Delhi, distributing gold, and the government was handled by Shah Turkan, originally Turkish made. When the governor of Multan revolted, Rukunuddin marched to suppress that revolt. Using this opportunity, Razia, with the support of the amirs of Delhi, seized the throne of Delhi Sultanate. Both Firzu Shah and Shah Turkan were put to death. Razia Sultan. अब रज़िया सुल्तान के टॉपिक को आप सिंगल स्टामा कर लीजिए, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर MPPS की एग्जामिनेशन में 1994 में सवाल पूछा गया था, ठीक है. रज़िया सुल्तान 1236 to 1239 CE, first and only female Muslim ruler of medieval Indian Sultanate period. Discarded female apparel and parda, she held court with her face unveiled. She began to adorn herself in male attire and rode out in public on an elephant, went for hunting, and led the army. This aroused resentment among the Turkish nobles. Her attempt to create a counter-nobility of non-Turk invited the wrath of the Turkish amirs. They were particularly incensed over her decision to appoint Abbasian slave Malik Jamaluddin Yaqut to important office of Amir-e-Akhur, superintendent of royal horses. The recruitment of few of the other non-Turks to important posts further inflamed matters. The nobility realized that, though a woman, Razia was not willing to be a puppet in their hands. Therefore, the nobles started revolting against her in the provinces. The governor of Lahore was the first to create trouble but was defeated. In 1240 CE, a serious rebellion broke out in Sirhind, Bhatinda, under Altunia governor Razia. Razia alongside Yakut marched against Altunia, but on the way Turkish followers of Altunia murdered Yakut and imprisoned Razia. In the meantime, the Turkish nobles put Bahram, another son of Iltutmish, on the throne. However, Razia won over her captor, Altunia, and after marrying him proceeded to Delhi, but she was defeated and killed on the way by Bahram Shah. Bahram Shah, 1240 to 1242 CE. The fall of Razia paved the way for the ascendancy of the 40. In the next few years, they ensured a struggle for supremacy between the Sultan and the nobles. Initially, the nobles helped Bahram to extend the throne, but gradually these nobles became disordered and constantly bickered among each other. It was during this period of unrest that he was murdered by his own army in 1242 CE. Alauddin Musa Shah, 1242 to 1246 CE, son of Ruknuddin Firuz Shah and nephew of Razia Sultan. After his predecessor Bahram was murdered by the army, the chief chose him to become the next ruler. However, he was more of a puppet for the chief, was considered incompetent and worthless, and did not actually have much power or influence in the government. Instead, he became famous for his fondness for entertainment and wine. By 1246 CE, the chief became upset with his increasing hunger for more power in the government and replaced him with Nasruddin Muhammad. Nasruddin Muhammad, 1246 to 1264 CE, grandson of Iltutmish, who was inexperienced and young and had ascended to the throne with the aid of Ulgha Khan / Balban, member of the Chalgani, who himself assumed the position of Naib, deputy or regent. To further strengthen his position, he married his daughter to Nasruddin. The real power during Muhammad's reign lay in the hands of Balban. The growing authority of Balban alienated many of the Turkish chiefs, and with the conspiracy in 1250 they ousted Balban from his position and replaced him with Imauddin Rehan, who was an Indian Muslim. As they could not agree among themselves which Turkish noble should succeed Balban's post, Balban agreed to step aside but carefully built his own group, and within a short span of 1.5 years won over some of his opponents. In due course of time, Balban was reinstated with even more powers, and he even assumed the royal insignia, the Chhatra. Mahmud died in 1265 CE, and according to some historians, such as Ibn Battuta and Isami, Balban poisoned his masters Nasruddin and extended the throne. Balban. Before we begin with this topic, आप बालबन के टॉपिक को ट्रिपल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर मल्टीपल एग्जामिनेशन में सवाल आए थे. सो व्हेन यू रिवाइज, और आपकी बुक में ये ऑलरेडी स्टार मार्क्ड है, सो यू नो विच टॉपिक टू रिवाइज बिफोर गोइंग फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन. ठीक है. सो ट्रिपल स्टार मार्क दिस, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर छत्तीसगढ़ PCS में, UP PCS में एंड इवन BPSC एंड साथ ही UPSC में भी इसके ऊपर मल्टीपल ईयर्स में क्वेश्चन आए हैं. सो दिस टॉपिक इज़ हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है. सो ट्रिपल स्टार मार्क दिस. Balban, 1266 to 1286 CE. Balban was undoubtedly one of the main architects of Delhi Sultanate, particularly of its form of government and institution. He asserted and enhanced the power of monarchy. According to Balban, the Sultan was God and shadow on earth, Zil-Ilahi, and the recipient of divine grace, Nibayabat-e-Khudai. He ruled in an autocratic manner and worked hard to elevate the position of the Sultan. Balban's experience as a regent made him understand that the problem of Delhi Sultanate. He knew that the real threat to the monarchy was from the nobles called the 40. He was convinced that only by enhancing the power and authority of the monarchy he could solve this problem. He got every member of Iltutmish family killed and gave a deadly blow to Chalgani. Balban introduced a rigorous court discipline and a new custom such as sajda, prostration, and paibos, kissing the Sultan's feet, to prove his superiority over the nobles. In order to impress the people with the strength and youth of his government, Balban maintained a magnificent court and also introduced the Persian festival Navroz. So who introduced the Persian festival? It was Balban. ठीक है. और उन्होंने साथ में कौन से 2 कस्टम्स लाए थे? दैट वाज सजदा एंड पेबोस. He refused to laugh and joke in the court, and even gave up drinking wine so that no one may see him in a non-serious mood. He spared only those obedient nobles and eliminated all others by fair or foul means. Habayat Khan, the governor of Audh, was punished for killing a man who was drunk. Sher Khan, the governor of Bathinda, was poisoned. He was deeply racist and excluded non-Turks from administration. He stood forth as the champions of Turkish nobility. Indian Muslims were not given important posts in the government. He appointed spies known as Barids to monitor the activities of the nobles. When Balban became the Sultan, his position was not secure. Many Turkish chiefs were hostile to him. The Mongols were looking forward for an opportunity to attack the Sultanate. The governors of the distant provinces were trying to become independent rulers, while Indian rulers were also ready to revolt at the smallest opportunity. The law and order situation in the area around Delhi and the Doab region had deteriorated. In Ganga, Yamuna, Doab and Awadh, the roads were infested with the robbers and dacoits, because of which the communication with the eastern areas had become difficult. Some of the Rajput zamindars had set up forts in the areas and defied the government. The Mewatis had become so bold as to plunder people up to the outskirts of Delhi. To deal with the element, Balban adopted a stern policy. He organized a strong centralized army, both to deal with internal disturbance and to repel the Mongols who had entrenched themselves in Punjab and posed a serious threat to the Delhi Sultanate. He separated Diwan-e-Unzarat, finance department, and the Diwan-e-Arz, military department. हाले दी टर्मिनोलॉजीज, ठीक है, क्योंकि टर्मिनोलॉजीज के ऊपर मैच द पेयर के क्वेश्चन आने की प्रोबेबिलिटी इज हाई है. He recognized the Diwan-e-Arz and deployed the army in different parts of the country to put down rebellion. The disturbance in Mewat, Doab, Awadh and Kaitwar were ruthlessly suppressed. Balban also secured control over Ajmer, Nagaur in eastern Rajputana. But his attempt to capture Ranthambore and Gwalior failed. Instead of expanding his kingdom, Balban paid more attention to the restoration of law and order. Balban took several actions against the Mewatis and prevented such robberies. Robbers were mercilessly pursued and put to death. As a result, the roads became safe for travel. In 1279 CE, encouraged by the Mongol threats and the old age of Sultan, the governors of Bengal, Tughril Beg, revolted, assumed the title of Sultan and had the Kutuba read in his name. Balban sent his forces to Bengal and had Tughril beheaded. Subsequently, he appointed his own son, Bugara Khan, as a governor of Bengal. By all these harsh methods, Balban controlled the situation. He called himself Nasir Amir-ul-Momin, Khalifa's right-hand man, and instructed the ulemas to confine themselves to religious affairs and not to interfere in political activities. He administered justice with extreme impartiality. For instance, Malik Bak, the governor of Badoon, was publicly flogged for his cruelty towards his servant. Followed the policy of blood and iron, developed an efficient spy system and kept himself well informed by appointing spies in every department. Strengthened frontiers against the Mongols, but even he could not fully defend northern India against the attack of Mongols. Moreover, by excluding the non-Turkish from the position of power and authority, and by trusting only a very narrow racial groups, he made many people dissatisfied. Patron of men of letters and showered special favors on Amir Khusro. However, in the northwest, the Mongol reappeared and the Balban sent his son Prince Mahmud against them, but the prince Khan-e-Shahid was killed in the battle and his death was a smashing blow to Balban. He died in 1287 CE. Kaikubad, 1287 to 1290 CE, grandson of Balban, who was raised to the throne by the nobles after Balban's death. However, he was very soon replaced by his son Kaimurs, who remained on the throne for a little over 3 months. In 1290 CE, Firoz the Arzi-e-Mumalik, that is a minister of wars, who later took the title of Jalaluddin Khilji, took a bold step by murdering Kaimurs and seized the throne. A group of Khilji nobles, led by him, established the Khilji dynasty. Some scholars call this event as a dynastic revolution. In 1290 CE, as it brought to an end the so-called slave dynasty, and brought to the forefront of the Khiljis. Khilji dynasty. 1290 to 1320 CE. Jalaluddin Khilji, 1290 to 1296 CE. Jalaluddin Khilji, Firoz, laid the foundation of Khilji dynasty. So who was the founder of Khilji dynasty? It was Jalaluddin Khilji. He was a 70-year-old when he came to power and ruled only for a short span of 6 years. During Balban's reign, Jalaluddin had been the warden of marches in the northwest and had fought many successful battles against the Mongols, repelled the attack of the Mongols under Abdullah, and the Mongols who were settled near Delhi were called the New Musulmans. He was generous and also the first Sultan in Delhi Sultanate to have benevolent attitude towards Hindu. He clearly put forward the view that the state should be based on the willing support of the governed, and that since the large majority of the people in India were Hindus, the state in India could not be truly Islamic state. He avoided harsh punishments, even to those who revolted against him. He not only forgave them, but at a time even rewarded them to win their support. However, with his leniency was misunderstood as weakness by many people, including his supporters. When the thugs robbers looted the country, they were allowed to go after only a mere serve warning. Jalaluddin tried to win the goodwill of the nobility by adopting the policy of tolerance. He retained the earlier nobility in his administration. For instance, Malik Chujja, a nephew of Balban, was allowed to remain the governor of Kara. When Chajju revolted, it was suppressed, but he was pardoned. In 1292 CE, when Malik Chajju revolted for the second time, he was replaced by his nephew and son-in-law Alauddin Khilji, married his daughter to Ulgha Khan, a descendant of Changiz Khan, to win the Mongols' goodwill. During his reign in 1294 CE, Devgari was invaded by Alauddin Khilji, Ali Gurshap. During the reception there in July 1296 CE, Alauddin Khilji treacherously murdered his father-in-law Jalaluddin Khilji near Kara and usurped the throne of Delhi. He proclaimed himself Sultan by winning over the nobles and soldiers to his side by a lavish use of gold accumulated from Devgiri. Alauddin Khilji. So before we start with Alauddin Khilji from Khilji dynasty, आप इस टॉपिक को डबल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए क्योंकि मल्टीपल स्टेट सर्विसेज के एग्जामिनेशन में इसके ऊपर सवाल पूछे गए थे, जैसे कि एज यू सी BPSC में, UPPCS में, MPPCS में एंड इवन उत्तराखंड PCS में भी, राइट. सो डबल स्टार मार्क दिस टॉपिक. Alauddin Khilji, 1296 to 1316 CE. Alauddin Khilji was Jalaluddin's ambitious nephew and son-in-law. He had helped his uncle in his struggle for power and was appointed as Amir-e-Tuzuk, master of ceremonies. He had two victories expedition during the reign of Jalaluddin. After the first expedition of Bhilsa, Vidisha, in 1292 CE, he was given the Iqta of Awadh in addition to that of Kara. He was appointed as Arzi-e-Mamlik, Minister of Wars. In 1294 CE, he led the first Turkish expedition to southern India and plundered Devgiri. The successful expedition proves that Alauddin was able military commander and efficient organizer. Jalaluddin's policy of tolerance was reversed by Alauddin Khilji, who awarded drastic punishment to all those who dared to oppose him. He decided to revive Balban's policy of ruthless governance. He slaughtered the new Musulman and the old Balbani and Jalalai nobles. He decided to curb the powers of nobles and the interference of the ulema in the matter of the state. According to Barani, the author of Tariq-e-Firzu Shahi, Alauddin was convinced that the general prosperity of the nobles, intermarriages between noble families, inefficient spy system and drinking liquor were the basic reason for the rebellion. Therefore, he passed 4 ordinances. He confiscated the properties of the nobles. The intelligence system was reorganized and all the secret activities of the nobles were immediately reported to the Sultan. The use of liquor and intoxicant were prohibited. Social gatherings and festives without the permission of Sultan were forbidden by such harsh measures. His reign was free from rebellion. Alauddin established a huge permanent standing army to satisfy his ambition of conquest and to protect the country from Mongol invasion. Alauddin Khilji sent his army 6 times against the Mongols. The first 2 were successful, But the third Mongol invader, Khwaja, came up to Delhi, and Alauddin had to return to Chittor in the haste in 1303 CE and had to seek refuge in a strongly guarded camp at the Siri fort, which was still under the construction. Meanwhile, the Mongols besieged Delhi and its environs but were unable to breach Siri, forcing them to retreat. The next three Mongol invasions were also dealt with severely. Thousands of Mongols were killed. The northwestern frontier was fortified, and the Ghazi Malik Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was appointed as the warden of marches to protect the frontier. Military conquest of Alauddin Khilji included his expedition against Gujarat, Rajputana, and the Deccan. Conquest of Gujarat. Alauddin first began his territorial conquest with a campaign against Gujarat in 1299 CE, which was ruled by the Waghela king Rai Karan. The vast riches of Gujarat allured him first and foremost, and furthermore it was also a strategic decision since the Gujarat well could pay for his future conquest, while her seaport could ensure a regular supply of Arab horses for his army. An army under two of the Alauddin noted general Ulgha Khan and Nusrat Khan marched against Gujarat. Rai Karan, the ruler of Gujarat, fled and the temple of Somnath was captured and destroyed. An enormous booty was collected. Even the wealthy Muslim merchants were not spared. Alauddin married the Raja's wife Kamla Bai and acquired Malik Kafur, a eunuch and a great military general who later led the Khilji dynasty invasion of South India. Conquest of Rajputana. After the annexation of Gujarat, Alauddin turned his attention towards Rajputana, Ranthambore. It was reputed to be the strongest fort of Rajasthan, and had earlier defeated Jalaluddin Khilji. The capture of Ranthambore was necessary to break the power and morale of the Rajputs. Hence, it was the first target. The immediate cause of the attack was the ruler of Ranthambore, Hamir Deva, gave shelter to the two rebellious Mongol soldiers and refused to hand over them to the Khilji ruler. Hence, an offensive was launched against Ranthambore. To begin with, Khilji forces suffered losses. Nusrat Khan even lost his life. Finally, Alauddin himself had to come to the battlefield. However, in 1301, the fort fell to Alauddin. Women committed Johar or self-immolation described by Amir Khusro. Chittor. In 1303, Alauddin besieged Chittor and another powerful state of Rajputana. According to some scholars, Alauddin attacked Chittor because he was coveted Padmini, the beautiful queen of Raja Ratan Singh. The Rajput women, including Rani Padmini, performed Johar. This Padmini episode was graphically mentioned in the book Padmavat, written by Jayasi. According to Amir Khusro, the Sultan ordered a general massacre of the civil population. Chittor was renamed Khaizrabad after the name of Sultan's son, Khaizar Khan. Alauddin, however, had to return back quickly to Delhi as the Mongol army was advancing towards Delhi. Malwa and others. In 1305, the Khilji army under Ain-ul-Mulk captured Malwa. Other states such as Ujjain, Mandu, Dhar and Chanderi were also captured. After the conquest of Malwa, Alauddin sent Malik Kafur to the south and himself attacked Savana. The ruler of Savana, Raja Sheetal Deva, defended the fort bravely and was ultimately defeated. In 1311, another Rajputana kingdom, Jalore, was also captured. Thus, by 1311, Alauddin had completed the conquest of large part of Rajputana and became the master of the North India. Conquest of Deccan and South India. This region was ruled by the four major important dynasties: Yadavas of Devgiri, Kakatiyas of Warangal, Hoysalas of Dwar Samudra, and the Pandyas of Madurai. The expedition to the south was sent under Malik Kafur, a trusted commander of Alauddin who held the office of the Naib. His first target was Rai Karan, the earlier ruler of Gujarat, who had now occupied Baglana and defeated him. The second expedition was against Rai Ramchandra and the ruler of Devgiri in 1306 to 1307 CE, who had earlier promised to pay tributes to Sultan but did not pay. Ramchandra surrendered after a little resistance to Malik Kafur and was treated honorably. He was kept as a guest of Alauddin court and was given a gift of 1 lakh tankas and the title of Raja Rayan. He was also given a district of Gujarat, and one of his daughters was married to Alauddin. Alauddin showered generously towards Ramchandra because he wanted to have Ramchandra as an ally for campaign in the south. In 1309 CE, Malik Kafur launched his campaign against Warangal in the Telangana area. Its ruler, Pratap Rudradeva, was defeated and enormous booty was collected for him while he agreed to pay regular tribute to the Sultan. Malik Kafur's next target was the Hoysala ruler, Veerabalal III, in 1310 CE. He was defeated and vast quantity of booty was seized and sent to Delhi. Kafur next marched against the Pandyas in 1311 CE. In the case of Pandyas, a direct decisive battle could not take place. Veera Pandya fled to the capital of Madurai and Kafur plundered as much as he could, and including the number of wealthy temples such as Chidambaram. According to Amir Khusro, Malik Kafur reached as far as Rameshwaram and built a mosque there and returned to Delhi with 512 elephants, 7,000 horses and 500 men of precious stones. The Sultan honoured Malik Kafur by appointing him Naib Malik of the empire. Alauddin forces under Malik Kafur continued to maintain a control over the Deccan kingdom. Alauddin died in 1316 CE. Although the Sultan was illiterate, he patronized poets like Amir Khusro, Mir Hasan Devlvi. He also built famous gateway known as Alai Darwaza, Hauz Khas, Mahal Hazra, Satoon, Jamaed Khan Mosque and Alai Minar, and constructed a new capital at Siri. So आप अपनी books में भी highlight the work done by Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin adopted the title of Sikandar-e-Azim and gave Amir Khusro the title of Tuti-e-Hind. Oh, mark this important, ठीक है? Who gave the title to Amir Khusro? Tuti-e-Hind. किसने दिया था? Alauddin ने दिया था. And included non-Turks in his service. First ruler to fix land revenues in cash. His theory of kinship was secular, and he proclaimed kingship knows no kinship. And I do not know if this is lawful or unlawful. I do whatever I think to be good for the state. Refuted the suzerainty of the Khalifa and did not allow any power independence of the state to guide his policy. According to Barani, Alauddin wanted to join a new religion. So that's all for the day. In the next chapter, we'll start with Kutubuddin Mubarak Shah. Okay? So keep on watching Ghatna Sutra. See you next time.